B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. We're recording Lilu Nishmat Avi Shlomo Chaim Ben David. Hareini Kaparat Bishkavo. We know it's a fascinating and marvelous thing how Tisha B'Av, which is today, can be called a Moed, a holiday. We don't confess our sins, which is the classical signal that it's a holiday. And the Prophet does say, Karai Alai Moed. And I wanted to suggest a radical idea, but I believe it to be true with every fiber of my being. Why is today a happy day? Well, first of all, why is it a terribly sad day? Why do we really need to cry on a practical basis? Unfortunately, it's been so many thousands of years that the temple is destroyed that it's hard for people to really cry. Although I just saw a video from Shas showing Rav Ovadia crying bitterly for the temple and the Bet HaMikdash. We know that there's a Gemara in Sanhedrin, Perek Chelek Halacha Bet. The Yerushalmi there says on the pasuk, "V'chikiti laHashem hamastir panav mibet Yaakov v'kiviti lo." Yeshaya says that even God hides his face from the nation of Israel and the house of Jacob. I still look forward to his hope. I hope to get redeemed by his awesome salvage. So the Yerushalmi says, Ein lecha kashe sha'a kashe ba'olam yotor me'oto sha'a she'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe v'anochi HESTER panai b'yom ha'u v'af al pi ken Moshe shah v'kivisi lo. So what a magnificent Yerushalmi over here in Sanhedrin. The Yerushalmi says the worst news, the most difficult news to digest in the history of mankind is when God told Moshe in the Torah, one day I will cover myself. HESTER PANIM. There's going to be a place and time where obviously the worst manifestation of this was the Holocaust, where so many people are going to tell you, and every decent human being has the reason to question, where was God? How could he let 1 million kids, over 6 million Jews just die like cows to the slaughter? And we know that even amongst the HESTER PANIM, which we've been experiencing for thousands of years, but one of my congregants said slowly the HESTER PANIM is getting revealed. The Bet HaMikdash hopefully will be soon rebuilt. But slowly the curtain of God being behind the curtain and non-visible, his hand, is certainly the veil, the curtain's being lifted, because we have Jerusalem back and we have so much holy places in the land of Israel back under our control. Now, I heard something from the Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal Rav Weinberg, Rav Shmuel Yaakov Weinberg, Man Matasyo. He said something that I really explains the Arizal in a much deeper way, and would lead me to believe, suggest a novel idea why today is a happy day, even though it's one of the most difficult days of the year. And that is, the Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal said that anybody that serves God faithfully, loyally, unequivocally, unwaveringly, in a circumstance of HESTER PANIM, of course the reward is hundreds, if not thousands, unfathomably more intensive and more worthy. He's more worthy of a bigger reward. Why is that? Because if somebody, for example, a powerful prophet like Eliyahu or Elisha or Yeshaya or Yirmiyah, we've had so many of them, Ovadia, they come And you know this guy's a prophet because like Moshe split the sea, or like Eliyahu did 4 amazing miracles, Elisha did 8, Yehoshua, magnificent miracles. You have to just go throughout Tanakh, where the Jordan River was like the size of the Mississippi. A massive Missouri River would just open up in front of the Jews and let them come into the land of Israel. You have a temple, which 10 constant miracles, a heavenly fire is coming. God is looking you at the face with his prophets. It's much, 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 much like the difference between light and darkness, easier to keep the Torah because you are seeing and experiencing a father that's shining his beautiful smile upon you and looking you straight in the face. But imagine, even when God is so hidden and so mysterious, he's mysteriously in a place where unfortunately Europe has gone down the drain. So many of them, my brother-in-law was just there, so many of them are just clueless about what God and religion is. And in the academia and the university, now they make fun of you, even though themselves are the biggest fools that they don't believe in God, but they laugh. You're a laughing stock if you believe in God. What a deep HESTER PANIM we're still in. And these people are supposed to be intellectuals and doctors, which are supposed to see the most unbelievable manifestation of God's miracles in the human body. So Rosh Hashiva said that this is really an opportunity where we get much more reward when we serve God, even in this HESTER PANIM. Because, you know, if 6 million people die and you come out of there and rebuild the Torah like this valiant and glorious nation of Israel did, a nation that went through pogroms and the Inquisition, but still, right now we have more Torah, even in more than in the time of the Maccabees and the Second Temple, then this loyalty deserves a tremendous amount of recognition and acknowledgement and reward. And that's why really what the Rosh Hashiva is saying is what the Arizal says. The Arizal says this in the Shar HaGilgulim, page 62, Amud Bet, Sab Amud Bet. The Ramchaim Vital says that I believe this is the Kabbalistic theory of relativity, which is much more fundamental and awesome than Einstein's even. It says over there that the Arizal would always tell Rab Chaim Vital, parenthetically, never forget, the Arizal was destined to be Mashiach ben Yosef and the Ma'archu Mashiach ben David, and that's another reason why we didn't merit for them to lead us out of the Galut. But it says, Da ki lefi en gadlut hanefesh alui efe maaseh adam af kefi hazman. He said, God, your spiritual greatness is not necessarily determined about the greatness of your act. It's all relative to the time and place you live. Like if you learn Torah for 1 hour here in Los Angeles, the city of angels that don't blush, then yes, it's a much bigger challenge. It's like learning 10 hours in Bnei Brak or Yerushalayim, where the whole environment and every single one of your friends is learning the whole day. There's a theory. It's not even a theory. I misspoke. It's not a theory. It's a fundamental reality, like gravity is, that look what the Ari writes. These words of the Ari has to be embedded in gold and platinum into our hearts and psyche. That he says that in today's time and place, and the Arizal was writing this 500 years ago, and not everybody was walking half naked in the streets. He says, Ki ma'aseh katan bedor hazeh shakul kama mitzvot gedolot bedorim acharim. One small act in this generation is like many, many, many monumental and great acts of mitzvot. Ki bedorot elu haklipa goveret meod. Here, the satanic energies, which is called the kelipot, which keep and block the light of the Shekhinah. They block the light of the Shekhinah out, are so awesomely powerful. Le'en ketz, unlimitedly powerful. He says before, there was much less kelipot, which the Rosh Hashiva, I think, was explaining. Before, you had a clear... See, why are we crying over the temple? The temple was the wonderful place where that idiot of all idiots, that fool of all fool, the silliest person that would want to reject God's existence, you would just grab him by the arm and take him and you'd show him the heavenly fire coming, or the smoke of all the korbanot, all the offerings going up. Even if there was a wind the size of Katrina, a hurricane, this pillar of smoke was impossible. It would stay straight like a sequoia tree. And you would just have the prophet show him. The prophet would determine tomorrow this and this is going to happen. If you didn't listen to God, and we would see with our eyes, with our own eyes, we would witness whatever he said in the name of God would be carried out. So what does this bring me to? This brings me to a very important conclusion, that as a Jew, we never should be depressed. In my humble opinion, and I know it's a radical idea, but there's so much depression and negativity in the world. We need some positive energy. Like Rabbi Nachman Mibresev said, mitzvah gdola liot besimcha. Even on Tisha B'Av, we were in a state of happiness. Why? We need Mashiach like we need oxygen. We need Mashiach to redeem us like a fish needs water. But since God has decided not to bring it yet, let's rejoice in the fact that when we do serve God under these circumstances of HESTER PANIM, when we do serve God in a generation right after 6 million of us are kids, and still we don't have killed and murdered in cold blood, and we still don't reject chas v'shalom, chas v'chilal, the Almighty, but rather we build more yeshivot, more Torah, then maybe the reason why we have to be happy under these circumstances where it's totally unnatural. A child should always be able to see his father's face, to hug his father, and come to the Bet HaMikdash and witness his greatness and almighty hand. But so far, God has determined that it should not be that way. Even under such terrible circumstances, we have to be happy because it shows how great we are. It exemplifies how wonderful our loyalty to the Almighty is. And for that itself, our reward is awesomely greater. Like the words of the Arizal says. Arizal would say, I forgot to say these words. The Arizal says that the amount of Ruach HaKodesh and prophetic knowledge I have would have been heads and shoulders more if I would have lived in the time of the Gilui Panim, in the generations before, where there wasn't so much negativity, kelipot, that blocked the light of the Shekhinah, which is the light of understanding. May Hashem help us, that we so desperately want to see our Father again face to face. Ki ayin ba'ayin, eye to eye, may that day, that magnificent and awesome and glorious, the most glorious of all days come, that our great Mashiach comes and saves us, and we come out of the darkness of HESTER PANIM, and we see the Gilui Panim. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day.